Hello, everyone. Welcome back. My name is Jeff Mendelson, and this is the One Big Tip podcast. My guest today is Leslie Hensel. Leslie is the co founder and co owner of Riverbend Consulting. She solves problems for Amazon sellers and vendors. She has personally helped hundreds of third party sellers get their Amazon accounts and ASINs back up and running after a suspension, deactivation, or block. Leslie leverages 2 decades as a small business consultant advising clients on profitability and operational performance. She has been an Amazon seller for more than a decade, thanks to her two boys, aged 21 and 15, who do most of the heavy lifting. Leslie doesn't see herself as a sole proprietor or a guru when she manages her team of Amazon sellers, former Amazon team members, and highly skilled consultants. But she believes that her solutions are practical, real world, and aimed at improving both operational performance and profitability. This is going to be a really interesting discussion because I love talking about marketing and I haven't had enough guests on this show to talk about Amazon. So, Leslie, thank you so much for joining me and welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So this is going to be a really great conversation. I have also been, like consulting with small businesses, helping them with their digital marketing efforts. And what happens is that Amazon in and of itself is a special beast, right? But there's also so much more that goes on. There's so many other skills that you can bring to the table than just bringing stuff from China and hoping that it sells. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what makes you so amazing.
Oh gosh, that's a difficult leading question. So I have been a seller on Amazon for more than a decade. That makes me a grandma in Amazon land, even though I'm not a grandma in the real world. I have been selling for so long that I've seen a lot of trends on the platform. And I actually started out just as a seller and then had friends and colleagues who I saw having problems on the platform, getting their accounts suspended, having their items taken down. And so back in the day, before I was a seller, I was a small business consultant. So I started applying those consulting skills, the old school consulting, to help people get back on Amazon. So I've got the combination of the consultant speak that you need. To be successful dealing with a giant like Amazon, but then I still know how to market products and how to sell online because I still do it to this day.
You know what's interesting about these two skill sets is that one of them is helping, like small businesses, medium-sized businesses sell their products, get everything that they need, in order, having the right processes and people in place, things like that. And then of course there's the channel, right? And the channel for me has always been intriguing because, that is not something that you own, right? And like you said, you can be deactivated, you can have your stuff turned down, and it can happen from 1 second to the left, 1 second to the next, with or without warning, right? And what happens is that sometimes, if people don't really read the terms and conditions, if they don't really understand, what it is that that Amazon is expecting of you, or any other platform for that matter. The same goes for people that post on Facebook and want to run ads on Google. You are playing in someone else's sandbox, right? They are basic, for a fee, they're giving you access, to that platform, but you have to play by their rules and mind them each and every time. What would you say is probably the best piece of advice for someone who is starting out on Amazon FBA and being able to, get on the platform and, start making their first dollar with that?
And you're absolutely right about the playing in someone else's sandbox. And you know what's interesting to me is that it applies to giant sellers and tiny sellers because there are large companies that are getting their products on Amazon for the first time. They don't understand that the rules apply to them and what the rules are. And same for the small guy. But if you're getting on Amazon for the first time, whether you're an established brand or you're someone brand new looking for a side hustle, the big key is finding the right product. It is finding something you can sell where you're not going to have competition on your listing, or you can beat the competition on that listing. So something something unique. So for a big brand, it might be you have Amazon only offerings so that I, as a third party seller, can't go to the Walmart and buy the exact same product or bundle and list against you and compete, or buy stuff on sale and compete and hurt your channel and have channel leakage and all kinds of quality problems. Or if you're a private label person, what can you sell that someone else isn't going to jump on and claim that they're selling the same thing? Creating that differentiation is how you have long-term sustainability.
One of the things I found interesting, and this is mostly a product of my Instagram feed, to be honest, right? Because it's also full of digital marketers and the people that try to pump you up and yes, you can sell this. So I remember seeing one video about this guy who basically said, I made $50,000 selling onion goggles, right? And onion cotton goggles. And if you don't know what they are, they're basically goggles that you put over your eyes, and they have this sort of protection, that goes against your skin. So you can cut onions without crying, right? So anyone who's cut onions, and didn't go through the proper things, you start cutting, yeah, that stuff gets to you, right? And to think that this, little piece of plastic that's marketed for one specific purpose to sit in your junk drawer, right? And this guy, whether it's true or not, made $50,000, $100,000 selling this one product. There is literally everything under the sun on there. So how can you how can you then figure out, like, okay, I have a unique product? Because it's not just slapping a new brand on top of it. You have to figure out really what is the what is the true differentiator. If you want it, and it just feels like any market that you want to get involved with, like, it's already crowded. Like, I have a friend who sells those toy statues, like what's in my background, right? And he sells that kind of stuff as well. And you could just tell that he's selling it, and there are 20 other guys selling the same thing at different prices. How do you differentiate on that platform?
So specialty products are the bomb on Amazon. And so many people that I know, sellers that I've met who are successful, they have solved a problem in their own life. So as an example, I know a seller on Amazon who has a kid who has dysgraphia, which is like dyslexia for handwriting. And so they started by building a store where they were reselling tools that you sell to parents and to therapists who are helping kids with dysgraphia. And then they developed some of their own products that were like improvements, things that were better about those products. So that's one way, is you're actually developing new products, you're solving problems. And it's usually something in your own life is where you start with product development, something is an issue. I know another guy who does some great baseball training equipment because I bought some of it for my kid to try, right? And of course, he was a baseball coach. And that's why he started creating this baseball training equipment. But I want to tell you my coolest, most fun tip for how to differentiate yourself on Amazon. No matter where you live, if you're in the US or in Canada, there's a town nearby, or you live in a town or city that has a business park. I live in a small town. There are several business parks. It's like the mixed office and industrial use. So there are manufacturers in those business parks. A lot of them, they're selling only to wholesalers, or they're only selling through other, large channels to large retailers, but they're not selling online because they've never thought about it. They don't want to do it. They don't know how. You can go and find just a few of those small businesses in your area, put their products online. You'll be amazed. Even business and industrial and scientific category, you can get a decent volume of sales. You just tell them, hey, I want to make a deal. I'll create your listing detail page. I'll create a video for your product. I'll make sure we have a beautifully optimized listing. And then your part is you're going to let me do returns if I can't sell the product. You're going to give me your best wholesale rate. You can build a business pretty quickly that way if you find 5 to 10 of these businesses.
Well, what a great tip. And that's not even your one big tip, right?
Nope.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that, because yeah, you drive by these you drive by these business parks all the time, and you don't really think about what, are they on Amazon? Are they not on Amazon? What kind of products do they have? Some of them are, at least here in South Florida, most of them actually are probably importers, right? So they're bringing in products from other countries in order to sell here, because this is probably the more lucrative market, for them. And what happens is that they do it with varying degrees of success because it is so hard to really open up a physical store and, and set it up and then draw people in. That's a totally different game plan than, selling it online and shipping it out nationally or internationally. So I really like that part. One of the things that I really like about your one big tip was it's very much related to how I built my digital marketing business as well. So, very quickly, I started out just like, okay, I'm going to go build someone a website, right? And when you do that, you get a nice check, right? Let's be honest, you get a nice check. But what happens is that that's it. Like then you have to go out and find the next score, right? It's almost like crack. You got to get another hit. You got to get and then when I started figuring out that recurring subscriptions are so much easier to sell, especially when like when I provided the website hosting, or if I'm providing a service that fills their social media, page, and they're just paying every month. And as long as I'm fulfilling that service, they're going to pay me, like that monthly bill. I found that a much easier sell, right? I found it a much easier way to make money. And one of the things you and I were talking about on the pre-call was how do you do monthly subscriptions on Amazon? Like I never even knew that you could do that. What is that about? And how does that look?
So on Amazon, if you go and shop on Amazon, which I know that probably everyone listening to this podcast does because they have so many millions of Prime members, you'll see that you can opt for a one-time purchase or a subscription, and then you can choose how often you want that subscription delivered. So if you're buying a supplement, for example, you might say you want it delivered every 30 days or every 60 days. So that is called subscribe and save. So if you're a seller on Amazon, you can have your product added to the subscribe and save program. And what you offer in return is you say, okay, I'm going to give a 5% discount or 7% discount. It's quite small usually, to this subscriber every time they buy my product, but they're going to get these automatic shipments and then they can turn it off whenever they want to. But what is so magical about having subscriber revenue, whether it's on my Amazon business or if it's on my consulting firm, it takes so much stress out of your day to day life. And when you have that regular revenue coming in, you can really focus on other things. You can focus on how to develop the next product, how to add the next personnel, how to build the next process, or going out and killing that next big client, right? And dragging it home, instead of how am I going to keep the lights on and how am I going to make payroll? So building a subscription, it doesn't necessarily mean there's no work associated with that. If you're in a service business, on our service side, all of our subscription revenue is from work. We have to do work every month for that. But, my team loves it. It gives them security, and they get to know these clients and have relationships with these clients as well. So it's great for you whether you're selling a product on Amazon or working in a service business like you and I do.
So first of all, thank you for that explanation. Now that I'm thinking about it, like, yeah, if I buy, like the laundry detergent, there's a little subscription. Like, do you want us to send you this every 30 days? That's kind of like off to the side, small print. Like it's not really pronounced. Like Amazon isn't necessarily doing that seller any favors by putting that front and center with a pop-up or anything like that. You really have to sort of search it out, right, in order to do that. So yes, I do see the utility, how some products, how most consumable products at least would be beneficial to use something like that. But what happens though if you don't have, if the types of products that you have don't necessarily lend themselves? Is it just, are you able to then utilize other ways to try to upsell people on your other items that you have in your inventory? Like, how does that work?
Amazon does allow promotions that will run across a brand or across your store of items. So you can actually say, buy multiple items from my catalog, get 15% off. There are all those kinds of promotions that you can add to your listings. You see a lot of those usually around Q4 and the holidays. You'll see people wanting to cross sell a lot. But what's really interesting is if you give a significant enough subscribe and save discount, Amazon will actually default the radio button to subscribe and save for the buyer and force them to switch to one-time purchase. So used to the default was one-time purchase, but if you give them enough of a discount, it'll default to subscribe and save, and it's worth it because you are not having to pay for the acquisition of those customers anymore. So you're not having to pay for the ad or whatever else you are having to do to drive those people to the listing. They are just, in your automatic, and you would be amazed. Okay, this really shocks me. Never would have thought this until clients have told me. I have clients who have subscribe and save on socks. Like you said, things like laundry detergents, t-shirts, like undershirts, anything that you wear out, anything that you use up, any consumable item, food of all kinds. But there are even toy items. So like crayons, they have on subscribe and save. It's fascinating. It is worth doing the test on every product that you have on Amazon where there could possibly be a repeat buyer.
So could you do that, for example, with baby clothes, for example, right? If you're going to do it, but with baby clothes, you have to like, you're not just shipping a specific size from what, the same size each time, that you're going to
Oh,
increment the size as they're growing. Is that something that's available, or do you have to always stay with the same, like with the same SKU each and every time when you subscribe like that?
it's the exact same SKU, so it won't automatically size it up. But what a great idea if you could.
Yeah, right. One of the things I find, interesting is that, Amazon, not to sound too much like an Amazon fanboy here, but they really did come up with with an amazing model that, like Prime gives you access, not just to, 2-day free shipping, but, these 150 other things that they're giving you. Right. And, one of the things I find, very prevalent in my line of work, as a digital marketer, is that the only asset that you ever truly own is your email marketing list. Everything else, like if you do a Facebook page, or you have a Google My Business profile, or, like if you have a Twitter account, any of those can be shut down, or even on Amazon, right? They can be shut down at any second. Is there a way that, you can sort of siphon people off, so that you can get them onto your mailing list, so that you can sell them more, either on the platform or off to the side? Is there any danger in that, or does Amazon provide tools to help you manage that type of list? What does that look like?
Just recently, Amazon has started adding some accessibility to brand owners. So, part of being on Amazon, you can be a reseller or you can be a brand owner, or both. If you're a brand owner, you have to go into brand registry and register your brand with Amazon. They are beginning to open things up to allow brand owners to reach out to a list, to reach out to some of their customers and make special offers. Now, I'll tell you, outside of that very specific availability that they are still in beta and have a lot of control, outside of that, you cannot scrape the data for your Amazon customers and reach out to them. There are people who do it. I think a lot of folks now have gotten something literally in snail mail, saying, "Hey, give me a 5-star review, and here's a gift card." People get emails that they're surprised to receive that are not through the Amazon platform. All of that is against terms of service. Another interesting option, though, for people who have their own Shopify store, there's a new option where Amazon will actually fulfill the orders for your Shopify store. You ship all of the inventory to an Amazon fulfillment center, and you have a checkout option that is for Prime on the Shopify store. It's called Buy with Prime. And in that case, you do actually own the customer list, but then you get the benefit of all the fulfillment and the customer service being done by Amazon for you.
That's really interesting, because really what we're talking about here it sounds like the mother load, the big thing that everyone should be doing is that they really should be thinking in terms of brands, not just looking for some other product to knock off and, join the fray of the 150 other people that are doing it, but really try to figure out what your differentiator is. And, even if it's selling a similar product, but just, having an alternative use for it, you really can make a difference, instead of just selling the same stuff that everyone else is doing. Right.
Oh, absolutely. And you know what's really interesting to me? So there are a lot of software tools out there that people buy, like Helium 10 is an example. There's software tools where you can go put in keywords about certain products. It'll pull up all the competitive listings, the subcategory on Amazon. You can see how competitive it is. Another one's Jungle Scout. It'll tell you how many searches there are for those keywords every month, what people are looking for. You can look for those differentiators, but something interesting that you can also find is you can look at the top players in certain categories, and sometimes they are national brands. And you look for these top players and you look at their listing detail pages, and they're garbage. So the primary image is what some retail arbitrage seller took a picture in their bathroom of some product and threw it up on a page. And it's got like one sentence about the product and two bullet points, if that, and that's it. Okay, so if it's a huge national brand, can you compete against that? Maybe, maybe not. But there are so many subcategories out there where the big players, the top dogs, have that kind of listing detail page. So if you get after it and you have all 7 image spaces filled with beautiful images, and actually use 6 images, and the last one's a video, it's a product video, and you build out A+ content or enhanced brand content, whatever you call it. But when you scroll down and there's really big, pretty images, and it shows your other product line and it talks about your brand, and when your images are lifestyle images, so you show your product, not kidding, with dogs, babies, and hot women, and you use great keywords. You work on your keyword research all the time. Make sure that you're focusing on the right things, and then you do some fun long tail keywords, especially in your ads. These strategies, they sound difficult. They can be. You can also hire people to do them for you who are really good at it. But you can have a product that is competing against something else that's up there that's selling a lot, but they don't do a great job. You can take over that spot long term. It is totally possible. We see clients do it all the time. And you can even start getting a leg up on these big national brands, because you're kind of running on their coattails. It pops up their product first with the ugly image that you can tell that Bobby down the street took that picture. And then second in search results is you with all your gorgeous images and your beautiful keywords. So it seems daunting, but there is a lot of opportunity. You just have to find those spots where other people have not done a great job.
Thank you so much for that answer. I do have one last question about this. How how prevalent are paid ads, paid promotions for your products on Amazon, and how important is it? Like, basically, what you're telling me then is, you have to be really good at copywriting and headline writing and item descriptions and things like that, just to, to creep up those organic listings. But some people just don't have time for that, so they're going to go and, pay for some of those ads. What are your thoughts on going down the paid route in order to push some juice into that listing and make it better?
So for a new product launch on Amazon, you have to do both. You have to optimize your listing with the great SEO for Amazon written listing and the great images. And then you've also got to have some pay-per-click advertising. Pay-per-click ad campaigns on Amazon are their own animal. They can be challenging. Now that there is so much competition on the platform, whatever you think you need to budget, double it. That's if you want to really crack the first couple of pages on your keywords quickly. The magic of Amazon, though, is they give you a honeymoon. So people argue about how long the honeymoon period is. Is it 30 days? Is it 60 days? Somewhere around there. During that honeymoon period, you get outsized results for your efforts. So if you got 2 clicks on a listing, it treats it like you got 10. because during the honeymoon period, if you're new and you're getting results, woohoo, you must be awesome. And it's the same with PPC. So during that launch period, you really need to have both. I do know several people, including my business partner, who has a really great Amazon store. He actually turns off his sponsored brand ads this time of year because they just don't do any good. They don't contribute. The paid search doesn't contribute to your organic ranking. And this time of year, you're not getting much out of them. So you can play with it. You don't necessarily have to run massive PPC over time, but to launch, you sure as heck better.
Amazing. Leslie, thank you so much for sharing that. Can you please let everyone know where they can learn more about your business and how they can find you directly online?
Absolutely. So you can head on over to riverbendconsulting.com. We have forms you can fill out there if you have questions, but we also, get ready, y'all, we have a phone number and people who actually answer the phone all day and take your questions, talk to you about your challenges, see how we can help. And then the best social platform for me personally is LinkedIn. So if you go to LinkedIn and type in Leslie Hensel, you'll find me. I'd love to connect. And I post a lot of content about Amazon and e-commerce every week.
Amazing. Leslie, thank you for joining me today. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm really glad that I got the opportunity to nerd out a little bit on Amazon and why it's such a great platform for people to make money on. Thank you for
Thank you
being here.
so much. This